Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How's everybody doing out there on this great Friday? It's Memorial Day weekend. I have a couple of things I want to say about that. If you notice, I changed the intro and the outro will be changed, so check that out on your way out. I shortened the outro on the intro a lot of ways. We had some problems the other day that was conflicting where it didn't play. So if you like it, I could continue on with that. If not, I can go back to the original. But I changed a lot of stuff up, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to get on rather quickly because we lose time so much. And I think it's precious enough that we just don't waste time with so much intro. You watch other people's shows, and it's like 5-10 minutes opening, and I'm like, what is this? Credits to a movie? What am I fucking watching here? It's like ridiculous in some way. So I just want to say this: while politicians argue and the media spins narratives, their graves all across this great country, the United States of America, filled with Americans who paid the ultimate price, the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom, your freedom, my freedom. Tonight, we remember them first and always. This is Memorial Day, and this is the We Are Rise show. So welcome in, everybody out there. I want to get that out there. I want to say hello to Pill.net, hello over on YouTube. Just share and subscribe over there. We're not monetized. Hello over here on Rumble. What's up, True Terran? Glory B. Glory B made a good point early on before the show started. Was saying that it might sound crazy, but I think Cuba is going to help Iran send drones to attack Key West. And have been watching the news too much. I said, good evening, Glory. If an attack is imminent from Cuba, then that false flag was already foreshadowed long ago. But I happen to agree with you. What better way to seize Cuba outright? Yeah, I absolutely agree. I wouldn't be surprised there's something up. And with President Trump going to Rockland County to support Lawler and all these other stuff, there was a lot of good discussions that were happening from there. Let's just take some time to understand. He didn't go to Bedminster. He basically moved on from that. He came back to D.C. He made a comment, and I was writing it down. He had a Truth Social post that he said some things. He said circumstances pertaining to the government and my love for the United States do not allow me to do so. That's why he's skipping Don Jr.'s wedding. This is not an accident. Indeed, something is afoot. Something is about to take place. We don't know what that is. I hope you understand that in some way. There's something going on. Tonight's show, open lines. I dropped it in the chat. I mean, I had a lot of people like on Wednesday, like, where's the open lines? It's on Friday. So I drop it in chat. You guys don't call in. I'll drop it in again. You could see it's out there. I guess I'll drop the link again. DNI Gabbard dips out. Why? What aren't they telling us? What's next? Who's next? And Compassion Under Fire. We're going to cover a lot of different subject matter tonight that I think we'll all get into. But I will drop the link again because I know that it's just you and I tonight, always. Marshall is no longer working on Fridays. He's got a girlfriend, and he likes to go on dates, so good for him. He's enjoying his life. Let me drop these things in the chat. All right, so I got more of the StreamYard link, so if you want to call in, be my guest. Let's say hello over to Pill.net. How you doing with USA? Thank you so much for supporting the platform with the 217 gold pills. What's going on? 23 and on. How you been? What's up with you? Trump won. Yeah, I see you. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Afternoon. Good evening. Yeah. I see a lot of people out there that are coming in, matriculating in. We'll get to that. What's with the setup? The background and stuff that I do, I'm doing some things that are differently that I want to set up. And I kind of like this one because it's a 250 years of America, and you're not seeing all the other crazy things that are happening. Let's get to what's going on. I think the big news of the day, a lot of people, I mean, are you surprised? Are you shocked that Tulsi Gabbard has basically dipped out? I mean, the basic, let's just say, predicate and premise of her resigning is that her husband apparently has suffered a rare case of bone cancer. Yeah, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Prayers, thoughts, wishes for her and her family. It's absolutely terrible. Question is, how long ago was this diagnosis confirmed? A lot of serious questions that we're going to get into and discuss this. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill if you want to help out the platform. I'll put a couple of things up here. You can do this. Let me showcase this. So we have you can go to the Cash App here right in the corner, or you can go buymeacoffee.com. So let me get to a couple more things. I just want to say this in some way. I have some legitimate questions, I think. Thank you, Trump One, for the cookie. Enjoy your dinner with family. I'll see you later. Maybe you'll pop in. Hopefully, call in. And like I said, everybody call in, giving you opportunity because when we did the show on Wednesday, a lot of people were like, well, I want to call in. I'm like, well, Fridays is the best day to call in. It's just me and you. And so, please do. Please do. All right. Don't leave me comments of negative. Like, why wouldn't you leave it in the chat? Because it changes all the time. I don't have the opportunity to leave it in there. So the whole point is about getting this thing out working. So there's a couple of questions I want to discuss. I want to go through this real quickly. And I think in some way about Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to lay this out to you. This is a big thing. So I have a different, I didn't catch anybody's show or stream. I wasn't looking at anything else. I was just conducting my own experiment to see how you feel about this. So was she out of sync with the Trump national security orbit on Iran? Was it because of the interventionist policy that really stood out and divided her attention within the actual Trump orbit? I'm not sure. I mean, are we to believe that a replacement was being discussed internally weeks ago because of the Iran conflict that popped up? Was there some type of kerfuffle that they butted heads in some way? Did her role diminish over time? Was she sidelined? Was she sacked from key national security deliberations? Just points that I'm throwing out there. She signally represented a new, unique position, not fully aligned with the neocon Republicans, the Hawks. She was a valued asset because of who she was, becoming more of a Democrat to a Republican. I don't know where that fit in some way. I don't know about her politics. But was she isolated? Was she, let's just say, cornered, put it in the corner for some reason? Some people say this resignation is a signal or is going to be utilized and showcased as a signal to emphasize a more traditional opportunity and a role for new intel, an executive to come in there with defense and hawkish, let's just say, neocon reactions for new factions. That, my bet is on Devin Nunes, and I don't believe that at all. So did the deep state squeeze her out, or was this a frame job of an inexperienced DNI that never fully fit the role and was just uncomfortable the whole time? I'm not sure about that. I don't know how you feel about that in some way. What I would say is that realistically is that you have to look at it. So does Tulsi's story, does it sound off in some way? Is it something that it became so flukish? Inadvertently, the event just happened without intention or reaction, not by accident, not by chance. Is this resignation just a situational side effect of her husband's cancer and nothing to see here? Keep on moving. Do you believe that? Is that what you believe? Let me know in the chat. Or was this always planned all along the way? Job completed, well done. Set everything up, plow the field for the next phase of character actors to step up and into the fold, i.e. Devin Nunes. I think he's got to be the leading contender. I can't imagine him not being. I cannot imagine him being in the Trump orbit right now. I can't. Now, whether or not he gets confirmed or not, I'm just saying right now, to understand where I'm going with this and stuff, I think he's got to be. He steps down not even a month ago from the Trump, let's just say, True Social organization, and now he becomes readily available. Is that a coincidence? Or was this perfectly set up? Look, if the CIA is wholly complicit in the illegal spying on DNI Tulsi Gabbard and her team interfering with the investigators into COVID, JFK, MLK, RFK assassination files and documents, and other things, what's the fallout here? Are we to go to the goods on them? Are we going to get the goods on them? Is there going to be some pushback? Is there going to be some weight that's going to be thrown around, passed around? Or is this just another op, a mole hunt to seek out and destroy? So what happened with the CIA confiscating all the boxes? Remember that not even a week ago? Did it really take place? Was this something that was staged for this to happen in this manner? I'm not really sure. I don't think anybody really understands this. But, again, I'll say this. She did declassify the Russian collusion hoax documents, the impeachment documents. She, too, I believe, was spied on by the CIA because of the 2020 stolen election investigation and all the information they got from Georgia and all the boxes and documents that were held there that were brought back. So, again, I ask, was the CIA really tracking her? It's probably. And this was set up to move this forward in a different manner with somebody else in place. She did her job and nothing to see here. And that's all we have to just internalize right now. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go through the National Post and stuff as we bring this up. Let's hear your thoughts out there. I think you guys are a little quiet out there tonight. I see you, Boneless Chicken. What's going on? Good to see you. Gift of the can for going talking heads for drive home to join you. You must be important. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now I feel important because you said that. Aloha, Mom. What's up? Think military ops go in, do their jobs, and then leave. It's to protect the operators. Look at the Trump administration. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. And I think what your point is valid. I mean, I agree with that. I think there is something else that we're not really recognizing here. And I think that we have to consider in some way. Was this purposely set up in this manner? What are we seeing here right now that we need to understand that is taking place? Was this planned long ago for her to do her time in order to allow this effect to take place? Or is this something else? What are we not reading here? What are we not understanding in some way? You don't like the picture. You don't like the setup. Okay, I'll just go back to this. So if you don't like that, I don't know why you guys don't like that, but I'll just put it up on the full picture because they don't like the picture. They don't like the picture. I don't know. I got to see if I can. All right, let me see if I can do this again. Stop sharing that. All right, let's see if I can share this again. But see, I can't have a side view. That's the problem. There you go. All right. If you wanted that, I'll do that. So Tulsi Gabbard resigning as a DNI to support husband's cancer battle. Tulsi Gabbard is stepping down as National Director of Intelligence to care for her husband who's battling bone cancer. It's a fair assessment. I don't think anybody thinks that's not a real reason. Okay, but the question is, how long ago was that diagnosis? She's tendering her resignation by June 30th. That's when she departs. So I'd have to say in some way, this timeline was put in place. Whether or not her situation with her husband medically is real or not, I'm not here to belabor that in some way. It probably is. I mean, you don't want to say something like that. That's not true. All right. Even though it was already planned in some way, but how he got this rare bone cancer right away is something that we should discuss. Tulsi Gabbard has announced her resignation as the Director of National Intelligence effective June 30, 2026 to support her husband, Abraham, who is battling rare form of bone cancer. Unfortunately, I must submit this resignation effective June 30th. Okay. Key quote, I cannot in good conscience ask him to face the fight alone while I continue in this demanding and time-consuming position. Yeah. I mean, yeah, she's there for her husband. Good for her. And I don't think anybody's got a problem with it. I don't, whatever it is and stuff. I just think that how it appears and what the optics are in some way, again, the questions that I had earlier on begs to, makes you wonder. So her wonderful husband, Abraham, has been recently diagnosed. Okay. She rightfully wants him to be with him, bringing him back to good health as they currently fight a tough battle together. Okay. I have no doubt he will soon be better. Tulsi's done an incredible job. We will miss her. Yeah. I mean, look, the Trump administration has a way of having people there for their limited amount of time. Look at Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, I think purposely was set up for that position to plow the fields and clean house in the DOJ. I think the next level, what Todd Blanche is doing and what they're going to move forward to, I think that it's no dissimilar what's happening inside the DNI. So during her tenure, Gabbard declassified over 500,000 pages of government records, including related to the Trump-Russia investigation, established the Weaponization Working Group to address government misuse under the Biden government. Earlier this month, she announced she was investigating over 120 U.S.-funded biolabs worldwide. Uh-oh. And then her husband just comes down with this rare bone cancer. Gabbard's departure marks an end of her efforts to significantly reform the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and save taxpayers over $700 million annually. She wrote in a letter to President Trump, she is fully committed to ensuring a smooth and thorough transition. I think a guy named Aaron Lucas will take over the principal director of national intelligence. And this comes after 2 months of Joe Kent resigning. Coincidence? Is there a coincidence? Is this inadvertent? All coincidences? Is that what we're saying? Is that what you think, 23 and on? Is that what anybody's saying here? Does anybody have an opinion? Let me hear it in the chat. Let's hear your thoughts. I mean, seriously. All right. I mean, I'm not going to go through it too much. The Blaze made a comment or two, and they were basically saying it opens the eye in some way that, hey, look, Joe Kent resigned 2 months. There was friction with this whole thing regarding Iran. There might have been pushback. We're not knowing the, let's just say the palace intrigue, but nevertheless, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is a good level of interpretation of understanding why. There's going to be many people that are going to suggest a lot of things about her departure, as I'm going to show you tonight. So here it is. So let's clear the field with this, because we're going to go through that tonight. I got more to go. Tulsi Gabbard resigned due to her husband diagnosed with rare bone cancer. Rare bone cancer. What type of bone cancer is it? I mean, is it our personal information? No, I don't think so. The fact that they said a rare bone cancer just shocked me. The news hits just as Gabbard's director initiatives group DIG was aggressively investigating Havana syndrome. Anomalous health incidents. The mysterious directed energy attacks targeting U.S. intelligence officers, their family, and diplomats. Heritage's reporting, Catherine Herridge, reporting has long documented disturbing long-term effects in verified AHI survivors, including cancer cases. Multiple survivors developed cancer, dementia, or Parkinson's after alleged directed energy exposure. Stop right there. Does anybody believe that her husband, in some way, was a recipient of an attack that just caused this, let's just say, unexpected diagnosis of a rare bone cancer? I'll leave it at that. One close friend of a key whistleblower died from a rare form of cancer. There's the word, rare. In another high-profile case, the wife of a U.S. Special Officer describes a collateral damage, suffered full-body inflammation, thyroid cancer, bizarre disintegration, and reabsorption of her left collarbone, my God, a clavicle, following alleged attacks. As Gabbard's team pushed through to expose what they called defective Biden-era intelligence assets, downplaying directed energy weapons, and faced alleged CIA surveillance and obstruction for getting too close to the truth, her own family is now facing the exact pattern of rare bone cancer and damage Heritage has highlighted in AHI victims. Again, I will say, was she a target? Thank you, Trusty Term. Welcome in, everybody, to the We Are Rise show. Coincidence? I don't know. I'm going to leave this up to you guys, because I have my thoughts, but I'm not going to say anything right now. Scientists too being targeted. Coincidence or a chilling message from the very forces that the dig was determined to expose? Look at this. I must step down to care for we're exposing the cover of the truth about the attacks, blah, blah, blah. Look at all this. This doesn't feel like a coincidence with a resignation. It's a good point MJ Truth puts out. He's not always right, but I think this time he makes a subtle observation that we should all be looking at. The urgent alert CIA allegedly spied on Tulsi Gabbard. So if they were spying on her and she was getting too close to the fire like a moth, well, the only way to incinerate her and to take her down is to go after their hubby. So the question is, what did they do? How did they attack her or her husband in this way? Havana syndrome, CIA blocks access. I don't know. I just want to throw that out to you. I wanted you to make an hypothesis, to glean out all that information, because I don't think we really know what's really taking place. And, I truly believe that her husband has some rare form of bone cancer. And so my supposition here is that, how did he get it so quickly? Was he a target? And that's what I am more leaning towards. We'll never know. But the question is, President Trump today skipping Don Jr.'s wedding, coming back from Rockland County, New York, to support Mike Lawler, not going to Bedminster, New Jersey, which wasn't that far away, and then flying back to D.C., circumstances pertaining to government and my love for this country, the United States, do not allow me to do so. There's something going to happen. Something is going to happen. We're going to see it. I mean, Glory B put it out there on Rumble saying that we might have an imminent drone attack by Cuba through Iran. And this will cause some type of consternation that will bring forth something. That's why you have a carrier group there. So I wouldn't be surprised something goes off half-cocked and we're back in the fire. We're back in the mire. We're back in the fold in some way with fireworks per se. Libs of TikTok put this out there, and I think this is exactly how the characterization is. Now, I don't share this characterization, but again, people will have many questions. She resigned because of her husband has cancer. Yes, I agree with that. This is why no one trusts the media. Tulsi Gabbard resigns as Director of National Intelligence after contradicting Trump and Iran war. I don't believe that anybody has any proof to suggest that one way or another. I made an observation that was contingent upon many different facets that I was breaking down. I don't necessarily believe any of that, any or all of that. But I do question the fact is how fast and how long did this diagnosis pop up? And was her husband targeted as revenge? Because we know right now they were spying on her on a lot of different levels. So if she was in some way going after them to expose them and break it down, like she did with the Russia collusion hoax documents, the impeachment documents, she too, I believe, was in some way going to be a target. And I believe that they went after her husband to force her resignation in some way. I also think in some way that if we're not looking at that per se, I also think that President Trump and his team or these people are hired to do a job for a period of time. And when that job is finished, they step down, they resign. I think so. And you have to consider qualitatively both theories in this point. They could be, one could be moot, or basically they're equivalent to the one or the other, that even though her time was up, or maybe her time wasn't up, that she had to finish her time a lot shorter because of her husband, and maybe because the threats towards her and her family were grave. It's possible to consider. It's very possible to consider. All right, let's continue on. I don't know. Everybody's really quiet tonight. I'm going to bet on the COVID jab. Okay, let's see. Who else? Thank you, Boneless Chicken, for the can. Trump won for the cookie. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop a skull pill. Comments, questions, or concerns. Let's hear your thoughts. You can help us out on Rumble. I have a cash app. I mean, where is everybody tonight? I know it's Friday. I know. What's up? Hello, fellas. Good show. Rise 9300. Yep, it's just me tonight. It will be me every Friday, all the time, and I'll have special guests coming on as I'm, let's just say, working this through. Observant consciousness. What if Tulsi's transition was part of a board repositioning before the next sequence begins? Okay, let's play. I'll play. I mean, who wants to play? Come on. Do you want to play? Because I'll play. All right, because observing consciousness puts out some good stuff, but we'll just go into it. And again, systematically looking at, Dig was probing Crossfire Hurricane, COVID origins, Havana Syndrome, domestic surveillance, as I've been saying, compartmented CIA programs, whistleblower channels, and allegedly defective intelligence community assets. Uh-oh, not good. While reports describe keystroke monitoring, meaning as she was using her computer, they were following her every keystroke that she was importing in. Secure call interception concerns, blocked access to analysts, blocked access to classified compartments, resistance to releasing findings, and Inspector General involvement building underneath simultaneously. Catherine Herridge is reporting further points toward allegations that the dig investigators discovered third parties listening to secure calls connected to a whistleblower activity. This is not good. The ODNI IT specialist reportedly concluded infrastructure modifications would have required engineering level authorization inside the system itself. Wow. The NSA. That creates the kind of institutional pressure field where leadership starts moving chess pieces carefully to stabilize the operational environment before larger disclosures, recalls, declassifications, prosecutions, inspector general findings, or structural intelligence realignments emerge in the public view. Wow. So it looks like we might see something happen this weekend. Trump's movement patterns historically follow a timing architecture, sequencing pressure calibration and controlled escalation, management across multiple power centers simultaneously. Think Pam Bondi. I think sometimes he utilizes too much verbiage to get the point across that it goes over people's heads. Clear the bases, reset the field, next batter approaching the plate. Now, that's a good observation. That's what I'm saying. Who's the next batter up? Who's on deck? I think it's going to be Devin Nunes. I mean, I saw a list of people they're putting on like Stefanik. I'm like, no. I mean, come on. There was a couple other people, and I'm like, no. I don't know if it's going to be Nunes at all. Why did POTUS circumvent DNI codes, norm protocol for D-class? So I think what they're setting this up in some way is that now that she's already declassed this information, we're about to see the indictments, the arrest, and the protocols that will follow through based upon her discussion. Marshall taking Fridays off for an ass-pounding... No, Marshall has a girlfriend. I'll give him that. He's got a new girlfriend. He's smitten. He's happy. He needs his time. He's an old man. He needs to enjoy his life. And I'm like, dude, he's not, he'll pop up here and there and stuff. But yeah, that's fine. I don't, it was never intended to do shows all the time. It was intended to do like once or twice. And he got motivated in it. So now his time is preoccupied, and good for him. All right, let's continue on. More to go. So is another from MJ Truth. Again, we're going through all this information to try to understand and exhaust as much variables out there to find out what is taking place. So this is Larry Loomer. MJ Truth puts this out. Knew Tulsi would resign. How did Larry Loomer know? Roger Stone called her out and saying, oh, now you're working for the CIA now. So the first thought is had someone leaked her husband's cancer diagnosis and her plans to resign. Wow. Regardless if that's true, someone inside the White House is leaking stuff to her. Bingo. Look at the date. I think it's something is happening right now. Now, a lot of people are saying, is she being fed this information to force these resignations? And who is this coming from? It's possible. Back in March, a slimy piece of shit, Josh Hammer, said he had anonymous sources within the Trump administration informing him that DNI Tulsi Gabbard is heavily anti-Semitic and running anti-Semitic shadow operation that pushes anti-Semitic narratives. Remember this? Let's play a little bit of this.
Worked under Tulsi Gabbard. I was told by they got to this individual, and they got to Candace Owens there. Now, around the same time, Aaron, I can't name sources, obviously, but I was told by multiple people around the same time, last fall, I don't remember the exact date, that Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence, and she was Joe Kent's boss as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, he worked under Tulsi Gabbard. I was told by numerous people who are very much part of the conservative ecosystem in D.C., these are well-sourced people, strong connections to the White House. They told me to be strongly on the lookout for Tulsi Gabbard and her office. They basically said that Tulsi Gabbard is running something of a shadow operation from her office, that she is personally, I was told this, I've met Tulsi, I don't know her well. I was told she's personally actually very anti-Semitic, and that she is heavily involved in a lot of the anti-Semitic influencer operations, and that she is potentially involved when it comes to trying to feed some of these narratives there. Now, I didn't put two and two together at the time and think that this trail led immediately to Joe Kent. I've known of Joe Kent for years. We follow each other on Twitter for forever. I knew that he had some isolationist-y leaning views on foreign policy, but nothing particularly extreme. He actually, up until yesterday or a year ago, whatever, was somewhat sober, at least on issues pertaining to the Middle East, Iran, Israel, you name it, though. So I didn't put two and two together at the time.
So now they before they were calling her anti-Semite. That's what they do. Before they undercut you and try to move you out in some way. So this was set in place. Larry Loomer was leaking information. Obviously, he or she or whatever that thing is a piece of shit. And she wants to say, well, this is just reporting and stuff like that. No, you labeled her an anti-Semitic. Josh Hammer ran with it, and that's the bottom line, regardless of all this stuff. And, what we're seeing right now is the fallout from this, because we don't really know what has taken place inside the Trump administration that forced this scenario. Is it more likely than the simplest explanation is the easiest one for us to digest and accept? Yes, her husband has cancer, and it's the best way to move on. Now, we don't know if he has cancer or not. That's what's been thrown out there. All right, so keep that at bay or in the back of your mind and just move on. And, it is what it is. But it doesn't mean that we can't question certain narratives, certain perception management or deception management that is out there. And, whatever I said earlier, if you want to go back and watch the show earlier and stuff, you'll understand the commentary that I was asking. I was asking plausible, logical questions to figure out where we are right now with her. Let me continue. I dropped the actual here. Someone is asking, I want to come on the show. Okay, well, here you go, buddy. There you go. Here's another paste. I just dropped. Here, there you go. I dropped this. I dropped the link. So the links are out. If you want to come on, you want to yell at me, be my guest. You want to shoot around discussions, have fun. Here you go. I dropped it out there. Just me and you out there. I want to show you this because I think Gloria B made some good points early on about the possibility, we're going to see a drone attack that's going to be set up. Was it going to be staged or not? I don't know. Is it a false flag? I have no idea. But the interpretation of this, and the surrounding principal argument about forcing Raul Castro into submission and surrendering, either by his own volition or by his not own volition, meaning that we're going to come and get him or something is going to take place. So I would consider that in some way. Here's another thing that just popped up. Sensing renewed outbreak of the war, Iran hackers vow dozens of devastating infrastructure attacks ready to go. So there's something that happened. This happened yesterday. So Gloria B making a point about what's going to happen with these. We don't know what Cuba has with all these drones and stuff. I mean, I just don't foresee Cuba as being whatever. But be that as it may, we have to consider these things are on the horizon. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to attack the coast of Key West. They could attack a ship. We don't know what they have. We don't hear anything about this. We also know that Iranian hackers said today they've detected preparations for a renewed outbreak of military conflict coming in days. And I believe that is true. I think the posturing, the sable rattling, all this other stuff, the slow walking this out, nothing is like working. So something is going to give way in order for this to, let's just say, magnify, intensify, and let's just say get really hairy and ugly. The widespread attacks targeting energy and IT infrastructure. Donald Trump told reporters Wednesday that the latest negotiation between the United States and Iran could save war, but if we don't get the right answers, it goes quickly. So if President Trump, his team, the administration are aware that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is working behind the scenes with hacker groups in some way to set up false flag attacks while all these other things are being staged and operations are happening, you're starting to see how this malevolence is rising up. Now, I don't believe all this stuff in some way. I would just, take a pause, take a powder in some way. It's going to be okay. I just think in some way that we are going to see certain things that may happen and impact us this weekend. And what better way to do it as we honor our, let's just say, beloved dead who sacrificed everything and their lives. And I talked about it early on. We must remember that first, because Americans who paid the ultimate price for freedom gave us something that we should all cherish, and we should all believe, like Jesus Christ gave us our lives and our soul to be human. We all should celebrate this. We must honor this. We must think about this in a manner. So during this time of reflection, I think it's plausible to suggest that something could happen. President Trump coming back, tipping his hand, saying, "I'm not going to Bedminster. I'm not going to my son's wedding." You had people on CNN, MSNBC questioning that in some way, wondering why he's not going. Is something in the air? Is something like now present that's going to I don't know. Is something in the offing right now? Is something impending? Is it approaching? I don't know. I think so. That's my feeling right now. But I think this article basically is sensing that an outbreak of war will continue on, and I believe it will happen through a hacking of an infrastructure that could set things off and move things into place that could be really gnarly during this holiday weekend that we all set up. Let me show you this right now. Let's get into this because I think you have a better understanding of what the Iran war is about. You have a better understanding about what we're fighting, who we're fighting, and to a large, let's just say S degree and stuff, you get a better sense of how you can explain it, why you're defending President Trump, what is taking place. Ultimately, the goal is what? To reroute a new economic basin to the United States where people will be, let's just say, unencumbered to get oil and gas from us that we could sell and buy, and then move the control away from the proxy state of Iran that basically works with an enterprise of EU countries, the Bank of London, what have you, that are setting up shop everywhere to fund terrorism and do all these things. And if 20, 30, 40% of all the oil that flows through the country can be what? Let's just say nullified, and we set up a new stream of consciousness through an economic venue, then everybody can get it, maybe at cost, and not have to pay a price of extortion blackmail, and then things could be easily set. You know, President Trump, when he came back from Taiwan or was saying at Taiwan, he's like, it's really not our principal place to protect Taiwan. And I said to you the other day that the societies, the lands have been carved up. The deals have been in place. Russia takes Ukraine. The United States takes Greenland, Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, and Canada. Yes, it's going to happen. It will happen. I promise you that. I promise you that. And then China will take Taiwan. That's it. That's how things are being carved up. Let me show you this. What if the clown was an act? This is a good one. I really like this a lot.
Trump might not be an idiot. Not a clown, not even reckless, but the only guy in the room who already knows how this ends. And by the end of this, you might start seeing it too. Look at what he's doing. Fighting Iran, pushing NATO, picking fights with everyone. Canada, Mexico, Europe. It looks messy. It looks stupid. Like everything's falling apart, right? Good, because that's exactly how it's supposed to look. Right now, the entire world runs on Middle East oil. Japan, around 75%. India, about 60%. China, nearly half. Europe, deep in it. And most of that oil moves through one place, the Strait of Hormuz. And yeah, this isn't small. Around 20% of the world's oil flows through that one choke point. So think about this. What happens if that just stops? No warning, no backup, just gone. Prices spike, markets panic, supply chains start snapping. Countries don't just struggle, they start making desperate decisions. But here's what most people miss. Oil isn't rare, it's just controlled. The biggest reserves? Venezuela, Canada, the United States. So now think carefully.
He just said Venezuela, Canada, and the United States. And we'll control two of those three. And the United States. Think about that. We will own the oil galaxy of the world. Yeah, let's continue.
If the Middle East goes dark, where does the entire world turn? North America. And that's where it gets uncomfortable. Because who's holding U.S. debt? China, Japan, Europe. The same countries that would suddenly need American energy just to keep running. So what do? Walk away from the dollar and lose access to energy. or stay locked in because they have no choice.
Mm.
And now here's the part nobody talks about. What if looking chaotic, what if looking like a clown is exactly what keeps everyone distracted?
Yep.
What if losing the war is how you win control? So tell me, is he just a buffoon, or are we watching the setup of the biggest economic trap ever played? Wait, what if this was the plan all along?
Yeah, and I honestly, that's why he was asked to run, because that's how the media portrays him. That's how they look at him. They look at him as a buffoon, as a clown in some way. And so why he acts out there or acts out in the ways that, that he does, he confuses people in a lot of ways. While the real machinations and deals behind the scenes are happening by the real power brokers that put President Trump there as a figurehead to run this gauntlet. Yeah. And I think that, he's the perfect weapon and tool to be utilized to bring this down. He's a smart guy. Yeah. I mean, he's working with these people in a lot of ways and stuff. But I think ultimately how this is being decided is what you understand now, that you get a better fixation of understanding what is taking place, whether we hit Iran now again, whether we just obliterate them. We just said enough. We basically shut it down. I mean, Newt Gingrich was saying that, hey, we should just nuke the Strait of Hormuz, which I disagreed with, but you can obliterate it without setting off some catastrophe there in some way. Nuke it meaning what? If you want to attack it in some way to bring it down to, let's just say, stop anything from going through anytime soon, well, what better way to do it and do it now? Now, the question is, if you do that, that's going to change everybody's trajectory, and oil and gas will spike. You'll probably see ridiculous amounts of price gouging all over the place, manipulation, and you have to be careful about that. I mean, that could set everything back unless people are ready to play ball and come to the United States and buy our oil. I think that's it. I think that's ultimate goal, but are we there yet? Let's look about this. Promethean Action puts this up. And I'm only going to play a little bit because they have like, I don't know, like 2 hours of discussions. And I'm like, I'm not going to play someone's 2 hours discussion. But I thought this was an interesting
Everyone
take.
thinks that.
This is an interesting take. I saw you, Trusty Turner. Excuse me, 23 I hope Ray Epps calls in again. Dude, why don't you call in? But you're funny because I remember being on that the recipient on that, and when Thomas and I were doing that show and that guy called in. That's funny that you remember that. And it's funny that you thought about that because Thomas and I were talking about that last week. Yeah, he called me. He's doing well. He'll return probably next week. He was gonna jump on today, but I guess he had too many other things going on. So yeah. All right, let me continue. So this is a good point. We're just only going to play maybe a minute or two, and then you get an understanding about where we're going. Everyone heard no money for terror, and the thought Iran read addresses on Treasury's new sanctions list. London, UK, overseas territory. Listen to Scott Bessent. This is important.
They know who was targeted by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent when he made these remarks at the No Money for Terror G7 meeting on Monday.
Crushing the threat of terrorism compels all of you to step up and join us in rooting out financing that sustains it, from shell companies that are embedded within Europe to shadow banking networks that lurk across the Middle East and drug cartels across the Western Hemisphere.
Yes, Iran is the target of the sanctions, but Bessent made clear that the gathered nations were the target of his message.
So if we are serious about no money
Listen
for
to
terror,
this.
then there must also be no room for excuses.
Look at what he targeted: shell companies in Europe, shadow banking networks, and drug cartels. That is a description of the City of London's offshore empire and its narco-terrorist operations.
Bingo.
But there's an even bigger story that ties this all together. Earlier in May, the White House released its counterterrorism strategy, and it dropped a bombshell about the Muslim Brotherhood. And when you understand what that means, you'll understand why London is shaking right now. But if you don't go any further than looking at the mullahs and the IRGC, or if you're panicking about Sharia law coming to a town near you, you are going to miss the hand behind terrorism, dirty money, and perpetual war. I'm Susan Kokinda.
Okay. I'm out of that right now. I think that she said enough right there that you can understand and think about what's taking place and stuff. Let's continue on. So let's move on. I got more to go. So today we saw Kevin Walsh be sworn in. He's the new Fed Reserve Chairman. He's going to replace Jerome Powell. It's going to be easy peasy with no gold fringe flags. Unlike Jerome Powell's swearing in, which featured both gold fringe American flag and the Federal Reserve flag with gold fringe, Walsh's ceremony had neither. This is one of the first clear public signs of America's shift away from the British Admiralty maritime law's financial system. It allows for the King's visit in late April, who acted as a witness to the lawful closing of the old system's American soil. And there was a radio station, I guess, that's an all-time that recorded it back in April that had to apologize. The king had died. And so whoever came to visit, was he replaced? It's possible. But again, you know what? We're never going to know these things. I don't think we're ever going to be told these things. I just don't. For the life of me, even though, you know, the mystery is greater than the truth in some way, I think ultimately we should be told this, but I think that just gives way to expose this deep, dark, let's just say, operation that's taking place, and it's glorious. And I think that whether or not we need to know it, or whether or not we need to be read in about this and stuff, it doesn't matter. We need truths on other things that are more important that we need to focus on. This is one of the first clear public signs of America's shift away from British maritime law's financial system. It follows the King's visit in late April. America's money system is in the process of being returned to the proper land jurisdiction and sovereign authority of American people. Listen to this.
Okay, thank you
good.
very much.
Very
Thank
today.
you.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely,
That I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
They're friends, by the way. They're close friends, believe it or not, if you didn't know that. I just wanted to show that out to you because he had gave a hat tip to him during his acceptance speech, and President Trump called out Clarence Thomas specifically and Brett Kavanaugh. Very interesting that he was doing it. I like Susan Kokinda, Trustee Turnham says, but the other lady's dentures are slipping. Ugh. Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen the other lady. Susan Kokinda is putting out good stuff, but don't run away with it. All right. Not all of it I can, let's just say, hold up. But she puts out good stuff regarding England, the Bank of London, and how it's representational to what's going on in Iran. Is this Republic? What do you mean, Casey Snowman? Hebrew mullah and a priest walked into a bar. That's a good one. You know what? I actually have a joke. I can't tell that. But anyway, that's funny. All right, let's continue on. I mean, we're going to continue on. I dropped the links if you want to call in. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, and concerns. You guys are very demure, very quiet. You know, let's hear your thoughts. Help us out here. Let's continue on. I got more to go. I got a ton of stuff that is happening right now. We're going to get into other stuff that I think is going to fire people up. So President Trump has abruptly canceled his trip to National Bedminster, as I've been saying, and will be heading straight back to the White House following a speech in New York that he was in Rockland County. It's unclear why, but in a post by not attending Don Jr.'s wedding 47 said, I feel it's important for me to remain in Washington, D.C. at the White House during this important period of time. What is more important than your son's wedding? I think there's a lot of things that are more important probably than your son's wedding. And I think that we're about to see it. I think things are going to happen. I think all you guys in the chat have been making great commentary about speaking about this in some way. Yeah, I see you. Alita, what's up? FL John, how you doing? Rudy Poo, what's going on? Let's continue. All right. So here's the other part of other discussions that are taking place that I don't think people are basically understanding right now. But this was, I know that some people had discussed this, but I didn't get a chance to discuss it. But the idea that used this vernacular, this verbiage, this syntax, DNC chair disowns Democrats' 2024 election autopsy. So they did an autopsy after a painful Trump defeat, a punch in the gut. I think that terminology is kind of a little odd when you think. When you use the term autopsy, you're doing something that's something that is organically not alive, that is dead, that's not breathing, that's unalive. And so using that syntax, that verbiage, whatever, in this way to parlay some type of apparatus that people are digesting, I thought it was kind of odd in some way. Are you saying that President Trump not only defeated the Democrat Party, whatever party it is, and Kamala Harris, that he basically crushed them and put them on life support, and now we have to go through an autopsy to look at what was lost in general? How did they lose? So Martin described the party's loss as both as painful and consequential, while acknowledging that the Democrats face serious challenges with voters heading into future cycles. I'm not proud of this product. It does not meet my standards, and it won't meet your standards, Martin said. The DNC chairman went even further, stating that he could not, in good faith, put the DNC stamp of approval on it. Well, this doesn't look good, and for her chances for Kamala Harris to come back, to be resurrected in the Lazarus pit, to find some way that she could be one of the primary candidates to run in 2028. I mean, this would be historically improbable and impossible. But a punch to the gut and conceded that the Democrat Party's public image has deteriorated. Hasn't? Well, yeah. You opened the gates to the far left lunacy. You had a drunk and someone who can't speak properly that doesn't know what type of, let's just say, where you're from. I mean, you don't know who you are and where you're going and where you're from, and you wanted to be president of the United States. Yeah, it wasn't going to work. And every time you speak, no one understands what you're talking about. And in fact, the idea that we need a woman as a president to change things is the most embarrassing, incredulous thing I've ever heard in my life. In fact, I don't want to see any gays or any more women opponents. There'll be a time in history for that to happen. But this will be the last president of this time frame, and you will understand why that is, and something anew will arise, and you will get that picture very quickly. Despite his criticism of the document, Martin said he was releasing it in the interest of transparency. Whose transparency? Because these people are blinded to the truth. So it doesn't matter how transparent or even opaque, it doesn't matter. They're not going to what? They're not going to swallow this. They're not going to absorb this. They're not going to what? They're not going to look at this and say, yeah, we get it. We get what you're saying, but we don't give a fuck because we opened the back door to all the nut jobs, the Marxists, the socialists, all the crazies, the trans, the loons. We don't care. That's the bottom line. Whatever the Democrat Party used to be, it no longer exists. It's a party of what? Misfits. It's the island of Dr. Moreau. Okay? It's an island of what? Miscreants. Recalcitrants. People that are what? That are just completely lost. They're lost because they have no soul. They don't believe in God. There's no way of finding themselves out there. It's like Waldo. You're never going to find Waldo because Waldo doesn't really exist. Okay? He was made up. That's what this Democrat Party is. Yes, the island of misfit toys. Very good, 23 and on. The report attempts to explain how Democrats lost both the White House and failed to secure congressional majorities, arguing that the party weakened in its own political infrastructure through cuts to state-level operations, declining voter registration efforts, and reduced grassroots organizing. According to the report, those shortcomings allowed Republicans to make significant gains among Democrats, having increasingly struggled to reach, particularly in Middle America. The report's claim challenges by its own annotations. One of the most striking aspects of this document is that several claims are immediately challenged by the annotations, questioning the evidence of supporting them. In one section, the report states that the Harris campaign appears to have relied on Trump being unacceptable rather than building an affirmative case for Harris. Wow. Can you talk about being the most ignorant, batshit, out of touch person to suggest or to even make that a sublime attitude? An accompanying annotation responds bluntly. No evidence provided this claim. The inclusion also suggests annotations underscores Martin's criticism that portions of the report fail to meet standards expected of an official party review. The DNC launched the internal autopsy after Democrats suffered major setbacks during 2024 cycle. Party officials reportedly interviewed more than 300 Democrats across 50 states as a part of the effort to determine what went wrong and identify a path forward. I can tell you what went wrong, and I don't need the rest of this, that you understand what went wrong. They couldn't steal the election. They couldn't do it on vodka and latkes and anything they wanted to sell to everybody else that are out there. They couldn't sell enough bullshit and opinion and discussion to convince people that voting for you is the best thing over. And I have to say right now, the way I look at it is it's going to be very hard for a woman to become president in this United States because there are a lot of people that are not going to want to take orders, especially in the military. It's just not going to happen. You might see a vice president female, all right, and it's going to be a Republican. It's never going to be a Democrat. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. So, I mean, the Democrats have this thing that, hey, well, we'll put up 2 gay people. We'll put up 2 black people. That's not going to work either. You have the highest, let's just say, problem of this country, even though, according to Kash Patel, and I don't know what results he's reading, 90% of all the crime, violent crime, has come down. But yet we're 65 or 63.5% where black on white crime is so prevalent, it's out of control. Where is he getting his metrics? Where is these measurements coming from? I don't understand what is he talking about? How are the benchmarks and standards about this stuff? So you're not going to see this again, and you're not going to see a black gay president ever again. Not in my lifetime. Hopefully not in yours either. And hopefully it's exposed for what it is, and we will never have to deal with that bullshit ever again, to go through the destruction of what we had. Because we are in what? We are in a very temperate fetal position, white Americans. We are. Because even though that Kash Patel says this, we still see violent black crime on blacks and black crime. The media calls it a teen problem. No, it's a black problem. It's a black youth problem, but it's a black problem. We don't even know the ages of these groups. You don't want to recognize it. You want to push aside the illegal criminal problem we have, or murdering, raping, and killing, that we're getting people out, only 3 million. We need to bring that up. Tom Homan is like, why aren't we pushing this more? What is the administration doing? Yeah, I could be critical about it. I want to push this more. We need to push this more. When is this going to be more, let's just say, exhausted out? But I mean, why don't we discuss these things? I want to discuss these things. I think the administration should. And don't shun me away. All right? Because if you start shunning away white Christian Americans that support you, that love you, that will do everything for you, and you don't call out the realization of understanding we are in what? A temporal decay, and we're heading into a civil war because no one is making any discussions about that. I'm going to cover this tonight. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to reveal how bad I'm disgusted by it, and you should be too. All right, so we covered Richard Barris, how he manipulated his own political column and polls for Thomas Massey. And now he goes on Tucker Carlson. So Brian Cates puts this out. This is really good. can't stop for just a moment and listen to the influencer class that just utterly exposed itself over the past few months, screaming frustration as they circle the bowl and are about to be flush. Why just letting life pass you right by? Yeah, I think it's a good point. Out of touch, Tucker Carlson says the Republican Party's dead since Massey lost. It's unbelievable that they keep showing. I mean,
okay, so
Tucker is completely lost. Either this Tucker was replaced and a new Tucker was put in his place, or he's getting a script that he's reading purposely to not only defile, defrock himself, to attack, to bring forth this enterprise to expose people, to lure people in, to get people on his side. I don't know, but it seems like there's many different operations that are happening, and stay far away from it. That's what I'm saying, because what we're seeing right now, something is off. Something is very off. And I think these things are plotted ops to suck you in.
Do they? I mean, this is the end of the Republican Party, not just that I support it. I would never, ever, it's immoral to support this, in my opinion. But anti-free speech, pro-killing, I mean, it's grotesque in every way. But it's also the end of the Republican Party that we had in the beginning of something new and deeply unpopular. They got to know that. Okay, so do they? I mean, this is the end of the Republican Party, not just that I support it. I would never, ever, it's immoral to support this, in my opinion. But anti-free speech, pro-killing, I mean, it's grotesque in every way. But it's also the end of the Republican Party that we had in the beginning of something new and deeply unpopular. They got to know that. Okay, so do they? I mean, this is the end of the Republican.
So what's your thought about that? I mean, do you believe that there's something there? I mean, what is he saying? I mean, you can't trust Richard Barris. I mean, because he manipulated his own polls in favor of pushing forth the idea that people will come out and support Massey in droves in some way. But by manipulating the polls and saying Massey's going to win, also limits the idea that people will come out and vote for him. Why do I need to come out and vote for him? He's already going to win. So basically that bites you in the ass by doing that and being duplicitous. So you have to consider that as a rational scenario. All right. And the idea that you sell something short is also a problem in a lot of different ways. But let me continue on. I just think that I want to show you this because something is happening, something that we're seeing, and people are, yeah, he sold out. Very evident. Yep. Yeah. It's just odd. In some way, yeah, something happened in Israel after Tucker's meeting with Huckabee. Yeah, something happened greatly. We don't know what happened in some way. All right, let me move on. Let me find where I'm at and stuff. All right, let's get through some of the fun stuff. And when I mean fun stuff, we're going to talk with Candace Owens and the crack addict, Hunter Biden. So we apparently, like I told you, they're going to go on the show together. They're going to have crack party love party. I don't know. They were smoking bowls together. I mean, honestly, how did this come into fashion? How did this happen? But you know, the way Candace is operating, it's not crazy to say, hey, look, if I bring someone so lefty on who's got all these who's a reprobate in some way, someone that's just that is just a disgusting individual and stuff, maybe that my conversation with him will look good and I won't look so bad. I don't understand, you know, like anybody can have anybody on the show. And I think it's good ratings and good views and stuff like that. But what was the intention in some way? Is she playing us a fool, playing him a fool, or playing the audience as a fool? You have to consider that. But overall, this was the ultimate fallout from this. Some of the big things. Hunter Biden admits the laptop is real. Obama knew it. Biden knew. Comey knew. Brennan knew. They all knew. So that means the 2020 stolen election with the 51 clandestine operatives inside the intelligence organization all lied about it. The media lied about it. They all knew about it. They all covered it up to protect Biden so he can become president. And if they knew the truth about this, would that change anything? I don't know if it would change anything or not, but the exposure of all this stuff is most problematic for them.
And what happened to me, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure my entire digital footprint stolen from me. A 20-year digital footprint. Every text message, every picture, all of the things that that you would be ashamed of became front page news for 4 years, 5 years, beginning in 2019. And it forced me into a choice. And the choice was, do I get out of bed and live, or do I die? And it became that much of a dichotomy.
CIA Director John Brennan testified.
Is Hunter Biden right now, or has he in some way decided to give up the goods for some type of deal? Is that he's back there, out there? We said he's leaving the country. He's admitting all these things. He's basically doing everything he can to save his ass. He's turned state's evidence. It's true. I mean, him going on there, it's spilling all the beans means he's already signed deals, NDAs, whatever. I mean, not NDAs, but he signed realistic deals to make sure that anything that he is going to proffer on these shows in some way are automatically protected, because he's already been granted immunity and he's allowed to speak about this. And these things are going to be proactively in place for, yes, Hunter 2.0. It's very good. Let's listen to this.
Right now, behind closed doors, about the now infamous letter he signed downplaying the Hunter Biden laptop story, calling it Russian disinformation. That man in the hot seat right now. A House Republican report says the CIA pushed other former intelligence community members to sign on to that letter and then fast-tracked it to give then-candidate Joe Biden political cover. Democrats clapped back on those claims, calling them unexamined allegations on an incomplete record and another blatant attempt to mislead the American people.
Influence operations, which is what they do. There's a big difference between influence operations. No, you don't know that. Why? Because I did it. And you misrepresented that. We never said it was Russian influence operations, which is what they do. There's a big difference between influence operations. No, you don't know that. Yes, you don't know. Comey knew. The literature said it had all the hallmarks of.
Wow. And Hunter Biden is there to what? To expose all of this. And I think that his deal has been in place. That's why he went on the biggest platform out there. I mean, is Candace Owens really a bigger platform than Tucker? She reaches a different audience to a lesser degree and stuff. And I think in some way that the conversations that she has with them, and I'm not a Candace Owens fan at all in some way, but why is she being utilized? Sean Ryan was there, but why not go on Tucker Carlson? Because Tucker Carlson right now is too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Okay. She right now, the fire has kind of like laid down in some way. So she was the perfect person to be utilized in this scenario. Let me show you this. When they go there and they go anti-Israel, they kind of end up dead. Listen to this.
Feel unsafe in the United States of America because you disagree with the current administration on a issue that 70% of Americans agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop the wholesale murder of a population in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think about my father's policy as it relates, I always say to people, one thing he didn't do? He didn't greenlight to turn Gaza into a Trump golf course, with the maitre d' being Jared Kushner with $4 billion in Saudi money.
It's despicable.
Despicable.
Yeah. Despicable, tasteless, indefensible. And
it's not a joke, though, is my point.
Jared, it wasn't a joke, and that is the deal.
And that's what they're doing,
mm-hmm.
literally doing. And by the way, they're doing it out in the open. I mean, it's not as if they're hiding it in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a problem, not you. Well, you too, but they had a problem with me as being this emblem of corruption. These guys, okay, Don Jr. got the single largest loan guarantee from the Department of Defense ever handed out of over $600 million for an energy company, a fusion energy company, of which he has zero experience in. Jared Kushner who's never run a private equity fund, has now a $4 billion private equity fund with 80% of the money coming from the Middle East, of which he continues to raise as he is the ambassador at large on behalf of the Trump administration, not as a political appointee, but simply as a son-in-law of the president, to come to a peace deal of a war in Iran that they started that has cost the economy billions and billions of dollars for a war nobody wanted. That every president.
So apparently you got to put you got to put Hunter Biden on Candace Owens to sound more batshit crazy than she is, or more batshit crazy than Tucker is. So they look based and he looks completely like, wow, or vice versa. Consider the inverse on that. That's why he's there. She didn't really push back about any of this information. She didn't push back about this. She had very soft gloves on. I mean, she used to hit him hard years ago, and that was never in the talking points of this discussion. They were using him to go after the president to agree and say, hey, look, your suggestions and your commentary ring true. Let me explain to you why. See, we forget about the Hunter Biden biolab. We had about him being some type of sitting on the board of some energy board in Ukraine with no, was it bar mitzvah? I forget the name of it. He had no qualifications. This was a crack smoking junkie that got kicked out of the military. And we're supposed to believe everything that he's saying. And he said that he facilitated deals for the big guy. And he's pissed because he had to give up all this stuff. And now he's $15 million in debt. How do you get to be 50? Yeah, Barisma. Thank you. I was thinking that. I said Barista. Thank you, Aloma. But how do you get to be $15 million in debt? I mean, honestly, how do you really get to it if you're this guy? Let's continue.
President before him, was pressured by the Israelis to get into. And every single one, regardless what you think of them, from Jimmy Carter, through President Reagan, through both of the Bushes, through Clinton, through my dad, said, you're out of your goddamn minds. And here's the reason why. This is what's going to happen. So who benefits right now? You know who benefits? The people that are making trades of billions of dollars on market manipulation that occur.
Insider trading
it's literally out in the open, but who's gonna,
We got behind him as the
Wait
answer.
a minute. So the House of Representatives had a bill and it was quashed to stop insider trading. So everybody in the Senate and the House do it. And you're saying that President Trump is doing this or his team is doing it, but President Trump's not doing it. President Trump is not involved in any of these things. He has people that do trade on these things in some way. So if it's legal for the Senate and the House of Representatives, then it could be legal for anybody. It doesn't look good. It doesn't smell good. But when you have a president that's donated his wealth, sacrificed his salary of presidency to continue to give and pay for this and pay for that in some way, well, you know what? You got to find some type of restitution. I don't fault these people at all. I don't even give a fuck. Because when I see all the grift and all the graft and all the fraud, and I see all the confluences and influencers that act the way they do to argue a position of this when they're fucking fully corrupt and they're being paid by some type of a subterfuge group, a sabotage group of a third world shithole, or maybe, facets of Israel or Saudi or Qatar or what have you in some way. That's why it's like, when you really look at it in some ways, that you have to ask yourself, are you getting a piece of the pie? How are you, American Joe citizen and Jane citizen? Are you getting the piece of the pie? Are you getting anything? Are you getting anything? Because everybody else is getting something. But are you getting anything? Are you getting anything? Because I'm not getting anything. That should piss you off across the board. Blame is everywhere. It's everywhere. And no matter how you look at it and how much you want to swallow this and deal with this shit, it's garbage in, garbage out. The only guy that's done enough, a lot enough, is taken enough. Look, when I look at President Trump and how much shit he goes through on a daily basis, you know he's fighting for you. You don't even have to say anything. But what he's went through, what he's gone through, what he continues to go through, his own fucking party pushes back about this compassion for fire of the $1776 billion, okay, that he could have settled, but he did settle. Instead of getting $10 billion, he settled with the IRS and say, look, give me $1776 billion. I'm going to set it up. I make no money in this. My family, nobody. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this up where it's going to accrue interest, number one. Consider that. And also to allow for certain people to apply for funding for what? Being destroyed by the IRS or any other agency inside the government to see, you can't do it. And we're going to push back. Everybody in the government that's acting in this way, fuck them. Fuck them and die. You should wish for their own death. You should. And I'm going to get to it because I have no way of, honestly, death to all of them. Hope you get cancer. Hope you get AIDS. I hope the dirt slop finds you. Fuck you. That's how we should feel. Let's continue.
To corruption. We thought he was going to be this outsider. He's going to go to DC. He's going to drain the swamp. And then he became the Loch Ness Monster, And so it's like, I don't know what it is about that swamp, but you get swimming in it. And it's like people do this.
He's now called the Loch Ness Monster by this black bitch. I mean, look, when did she become, when did she become some type of Oracle Delphi? All right. She is completely, there's only two ways you can look at it. Either Tucker, her, and all these other people are sitting there as really paid provocateurs that are set up to go against administration, or this whole thing is staged and fake, and this thing is being set up to bevy or level. And I think the former, not the latter. I think these people are put in place in some way to undercut the administration because they have no choice, because they're losing at every angle. Let me show you this. Oh, wait. Let me get back to this and stuff. I'm sorry. There was another point in this. All right. So he goes, here it is. Here it is. Hold on. Let me show you this. Okay, here it is. So Hunter claims Trump's assassinations. Here it is. I'll play it.
I mean, whether it's Butler or Charlie or these things that
got to use a lefty in here.
It's just not right. And I mean, it's so glaringly not right. It's almost as if they're just saying,
F you.
F you.
They're not even trying.
Care.
We don't even get good psyops anymore. And that's what I keep saying. I'm like, it's so disrespectful that we're not even getting good psyops anymore. Like we're supposed to believe he survived four assassination attempts, the first president that's ever survived 4 assassination attempts.
Let's just take what she's saying on a case-by-case scenario. Let's just say it is staged and not real, even though it is real. It has happened. We all saw it. We were all part of it. I watched the Butler shooting for 5 hours. I covered it. One person did die and 2 people were mortally injured. And you're saying it's fake. What I'm saying is, in some way, is that this type of level of nonsensical behavior ratchets up more of the violent fervor to attack the administration and President Trump's people inside of it and his acolytes. Because what you're doing is you're saying we're creating false flag narratives to set up a lie so people will swarm to him in his defense and we'll all buy it like seals and clap. All right. Can you disprove any of this stuff? The FBI is the one who basically killed the shooter at Butler, shut it all down, and so there's no information released. So is it President Trump's fault? Is the Secret Service's fault? Well, the Secret Service fault for allowing this nut job to get it ahead of the curve there. Look, the bottom line is simply, why is it President Trump's fault? And you're saying he set this up. He said Kash Patel wasn't there. So what part of that agency group that was control group that was working inside the administration while he was running for president was working for him to help set up this narrative? It is so kooky in general. But then again, you saw the videos at the Hilton Hotel and the guy ran through, and you're going to tell me that's staged and fake. Again, that rhetoric is the reason why we're in these situations. Let me continue.
Attempts.
Yeah.
They lie to us about things, they make a big deal, and then they make it want to, it's going to go away. They're going to keep pretending and telling us that this is a totally normal grieving widow. Okay. No one's buying that. Like that, something's just not right here. Everyone can see that this is not how you would react to your husband being shot. And this sort of just, I'm fine. And like 2 weeks later, I fully accept the narrative. I have no interest in anything else. It's over. Let's close it. I forgive him. Let's move on. You're asking us to abandon our common sense and our humanity is what you're asking us to do. And that kind of seems like where we're at. Like they're insisting on this. And I'm going, where is this going to go? Because we're not doing the thing they want us to do. Like they're just constantly giving us slop all the time. I mean, even the recent White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was so much theater to it after, so much theater. And now it's kind of, okay, Secret Service maybe shot each other and we're just going to kind of quietly move on. But Trump needs a ballroom. Like that's a normal reaction. Hey, there's a shooting duck. Hey, well, we better get that ballroom.
And by the way, it's going to cost $1 billion now. And by the way, it's not from donors. And by the way, we're going to do it. Like it's just the constant. Like talk about gaslight.
That's not true, because if the Senate's going to vote against it, because in the reconciliation bills or any of the appropriations, they're going to shut it down. But this is going forward nonetheless. Nevertheless, it's happening. So there's already funding happening before all this stuff has been presupposed. So who's footing the bill at the moment to make sure that all the construction is happening? And so to suggest in some way we're going to get some type of receivables in the back end to pay for it on the back end as they're concluding, and they're not smart enough to deduce that. The point is that President Trump has money set in place to make sure this is off book, so you don't get to look inside. All right. Understand black budget scenarios. So he's not putting on the book. What they're trying to do is now saying any type of appropriations, reconciliation, any type of theater, money's going to come in at DHS, ICE, and all stuff. We're not going to pay for this in some way. And, you're not going to get it. Cassidy, Tillis, they all said, according, they're all like, on my way out, fuck you. You're not getting anything. Okay, no problem. So I'm not worried about it. You shouldn't worry about it either. You know what? You don't want these people to know what's going on either. And I think it's best to keep this in some way as clandestine as possible or compartmentalized, because you don't want these fucking traitors knowing what is happening there. And I'm sure right now military funding is coming out because we have close to $1 trillion in money, and they appropriate or misappropriate money in the Defense Department all the time to what? Black budget projects that are contracted out through proprietary technologies and corporations. And I guarantee you're going to see shell companies that are funding this in some way through that. That's where it's coming from. That is how it's happening. All right, I'm done with this. I believe someone came into the chat. I think it was Roger. All right, let's talk to Roger right now. Hello, Roger. How you doing? Good evening. What's up, sir? How you doing?
Good. I'm probably several miles away from Thomas, so we're starting to get the rain, and I'm maybe a little.
Oh, you live in South Carolina?
Yeah, I'm in Taylor's. I think he's in Greer, which is next door.
Yeah.
I may be a little bit behind on the chat, but I wanted to say thank you. There's a lot of podcasters that I listen to more people or like regulars, but there are podcasters I listen to, and they've all turned from Trump. I mean, they have literally thrown him to the wind. I don't listen to Tucker, but I like Tucker. Tucker's went crazy on it.
Well, there's a difference between podcasters and influencers and confluencers. So when you got to consider, so who are the podcasters you listen to versus the influencers and confluencers? Because there's a lot of different people. You know what I'm saying?
You want me to say them on air?
No, I don't want you to say it. I'll say this. So when I look at someone like Thomas from True Reporting, he's a podcaster. He's not an influencer or a confluencer. When I look at Woke Societies, he's a podcaster. He does the news. He does other stuff. He's not a confluencer or influencer. When I look at Red Pill 78, these guys are good people. They're smart people, but they're not influencers. They're not confluencers. They're not trying to convince you of a narrative that's not true. They're reporting
Well,
the facts as they see it and explaining to people who don't understand what's going on.
Well, there
That's
are
the
people-
difference between people that are being paid to undercut a certain scenario to tell you lies. That I think that's really that we need to see the difference.
Well, there may be some that I think are like y'all, and I honestly believe because their following aren't
Mhm.
like Tucker Carlson.
No, of course
But
not.
everybody, not everybody,
Mhm.
a lot of people just jumped off the bandwagon. I mean, they went. I mean, they're with Trump every day, like Tucker, and they just jumped off the wagon. And you know, we don't know. And I pray every day. Every time I pray, and today I prayed. I don't know what the right decision is in this war or with Iran. I don't know. I'm not on the inside. I don't know what's right and wrong. I pray he's doing the right thing, or for our country, but I don't throw him under the bus. I voted for him. I'm going to stick with him. And there's a lot of people, and that's the reason why I want to say thank you. There's a lot of people that just say, okay, I can't deal with this. Yeah, I'm tired of paying the high gas prices, but I pray that there's an end to it that's going to benefit us. And you were talking earlier, I believe, about the divisions of the footprints, what America's wanting, what China's wanting, but we don't know what's going to happen. And but I do believe in the long run we're going to come out good. But I've lost a lot of respect, and there are a lot of podcasters, not influencers, that have thrown Trump under the bus. And I can say some of the names, but you
can
mentioned
if you
some
want.
that haven't.
Well, I mean, I don't, but I wasn't throwing people on the bus. I was trying to showcase the people I think that are different than the people that I look at Tucker or Candace Owens or Megyn Kelly or all these other people. We have, millions of people that are followers and stuff like that. And I think that those people that are being followed by those people are most likely people are libertarians or Democrats, maybe some rhino cucks in some way. I mean, I don't follow Tucker or I used to like Tucker a lot, but I mean, he's kind of got off the reservation so much that, he's sounding more like Sean Ryan than he is Tucker Carlson. So I don't know where this divide is going and why this is going in some way. I can't even say that it's because of the vitriol, because of Israel and how people are suggesting all these different things. I just think that people are not seeing the bigger picture. And you know what? If you want to jump off the boat and, swim miles home and stuff, that's fine and stuff. I'm not that person. I see things in a different level. I'm not arguing that that gas prices are high. They are high. That there are distribution problems in some way. But to actually pinpoint it, to blame President Trump, to say that he is manipulating the markets, that he is causing this consternation, it's not. You got the Federal Reserve. You have many other different facets. You have oil and gas industries that are manipulating. It's just like the banks that manipulate the market with the pricing of homes and stuff. As a realtor, I can tell you right now, it happens all the time. Because I can tell you, if you go buy a $600,000 home and you get the 6% interest rate, the home will drop in 2 years and it'll be worth $400,000, and you'll be like, you'll be fucked. And the reality is that with the way things are with the market, you have to consider in some way, like 2005, 2006, 2007, where we have high gas prices, you have the height of the war, you had the market, it crashed and burned. Right now, and it's not crashing and burning, but there are more sellers than there are buyers. The interest rates haven't dropped in 4 years because of Powell. Now we brought Wash in, and I believe Wash, this new independent, whatever that means, chairman for the Federal Reserve, which is basically going to be under the umbrella of the Treasury Department as we absorb it in, will basically lower interest rates to a 1.25 before the year is out, and then you'll start to see the change grow. And I do believe in some way how I look and perceive this war in some way is going to end rather quickly and abruptly for different reasons. It's not because of the fact is that we're going to have to attack them again and stuff like that. All we have to do is shut off the supply line. There is a possibility that if we do make the next move, and as Glory B said earlier on in the show, and I think Glory B made a good point. What if right now is that we're seeing some type of manufacturing operation with Iran and Cuba that is going to set up a drone attack on the ships off the Caribbean there or off the Key West and stuff that will presuppose retaliation that will escalate all this stuff. We'll take Cuba right away, and then there'll be some type of deal that will be made. We'll hit Iran a little bit, and then they'll just give up. I'm just saying there are many different things that President Trump is not leaving. He's not going to his son's wedding. And I think there is something that's going to happen this weekend that we are going to see that will facilitate and maybe get us as an exfil out of all this stuff, or maybe to a deal. But you know what? In some way, it's no different than what John Thune is doing. Everybody's like, yeah, fire John Thune, fire the parliamentarian. Yeah. But I think in some way, he's like, yeah, we're going to have a recess for the next month or so. He's going to come back after August. And what's going to happen is by September, they'll pass the deal because they have no choice, because they look at the numbers. They know what's going to happen. They know they're up for re-election. Thune will be up for re-election. Murkowski will be up for re-election. Collins is already up for re-election this year, and I think she's going to lose. Look, if you don't sign the Save America Act and stuff, you're dead anyway. And if you lose the Senate, you're completely dead. And I don't think in some way they want to lose the Senate. I mean, even though that losing in the old-fashioned traditional way gives them power because they can raise more money, that no longer exists at this moment anymore. No one's going to want to give the Republican Party, especially the senators, especially John Thune, when they had every opportunity to pass all these bills for President Trump. They're not going to do it. And I think the writing's on the wall, and people need to be aware of this, because there are a lot more, let's just say, hip to what's going on because of the media, because the internet, podcasters, influencers, confluencers, everything in general. People are watching 24/7.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you kind of know how South Carolina works. Maybe next week I'll call in and
no, I don't. I mean, I don't. I only know from Thomas, because when Thomas and I talk,
we're a swamp.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look at it. The only thing I can compare, like I said the other day, it looks a lot like Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? But Kentucky is seen to growing a backbone, and they're moving off, and hopefully they'll move off of Rand Paul as well. I think that Kentucky's doing something. Bashir is gone. I think in some way that they're moving into another level. I don't know about South Carolina. I don't know. Look, if you get rid of Lindsey Graham, then you're on a good trajectory. That's
that's Mark Lynch. So Trump has endorsed Lindsey Graham.
Of course he is. Why wouldn't he? You have to understand why. I mean, you guys are everybody's all upset about that, but you have to understand why.
He needs his vote.
Right.
And apparently
that's exactly why.
Lindsey said we're going to get this Save America Act in with one of these resolutions or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then Thune just sent him home. So that's not going to happen. But, I have donated the past 2 times to Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
And
you donated to Lindsey Graham. I mean, look,
I'm done.
His butt buddy gave us Obamacare, John McCain. Look, what you need to understand is in some ways that, look, of course, you have to look at the politics of all this stuff. Of course, he's going to support Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is always the guy you call on for a war that you need to proliferate in some way. I mean, he doesn't offer a bill, doesn't proffer a bill. He doesn't help out South Carolinians. I mean, President Trump, he's under the thumb and the control of the Trump machine. Do you understand that? He's been blackmailed, cajoled. He's been pushed up against the wall, sized up 7 ways from Sunday. I mean, they use him as a puppet. They get him out there to go on Fox News, to say this, to say that. And that's why he's doing it, because he's a useful idiot.
I'm voting for Mark Lynch. And
you should. I told Thomas to. I told him, like, dude, he called me last night. I'm like, dude, are you Martin? Are you voting for Mark? We have a problem right now. And I'm going to say right now in Florida, because Marshall and I are in agreement. New governor. You got the lieutenant governor, Jay Collins. You got Fishback and President Trump's guy, Byron Donalds. None of us like Byron Donalds at all. None of us. And I think it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. He's going to have a lot of baggage. And I think, unfortunately, he's going to win the primary. And There's going to be a lot of people holding their fucking nose saying, I got to vote for this fucking piece of shit to beat a Democrat, because we know the Democrat's going to be 3 times worse. It'll be 3 times worse, because you don't want someone coming in to undo everything DeSantis has done. And Byron Donalds will not be allowed to do that. All right. He'll be a controlled puppet to orchestrate and facilitate what has been put in place to make sure that, but it doesn't matter. He's not coming in with new ideas. All right. He's coming in with baggage I don't like.
Yeah, but I'm so done with Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Even if he wins the primary,
yeah,
I'm writing in Mark Lynch.
Yeah.
And me and my brother have talked about this.
Would you vote for a Democrat over him?
No, I will not vote for him.
That's my point.
But, well, if I vote for him, it's the same as voting for a Democrat. He has a Freedom Index score of like 50.
Yeah.
And so basically he's an F. So I told my brother, I says, look, he has so much power and influence.
Mm-hmm. He does.
I will not vote for him. I'll write in somebody. I'll write in Mark Lynch, even if he wins the primary. But the only way the Republicans in this state may be able to take that seat back is if he loses. And I know that's bad to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a staunch conservative. But I'm just, politics is sickening. But anyway, I wanted to thank you.
It's a disease, man. It's a disease it's a culture that we're seeing that's actually, the good thing is what President Trump's doing. Look at all these people, Tillis, Cassidy, Collins, Murkowski, Thune. They're all going to be gone. McConnell, gone. They're all gone. A lot of these people are just disappearing into the night. It's a great thing. And President Trump is holding the power. He's wielding the power. And people just don't see it. They don't see what's happening. They think that he's working with, he comes out, he's like, I own Bibi. I'm like, I can run for president over there. And they would nominate me just to piss off the influencers. And it's great. No one's listening to the influencers anymore. Fuentes doesn't make any sense anymore. Tucker's completely batshit crazy. Look, everybody has, my problem that I have with Israel, okay, and the Jewish contingent inside this country, there is what Matt Gaetz said. And I do believe that. And there's a lot of different type of other things that are going on. All right. And I also have a problem with the 33 states that enacted laws that you can't push back about that, but you can call white Christians out all the time. That's my biggest problem. And you know what? It makes me even more anti-Semitic. Yeah, it does. And you know what? I'll say it to my grave. Come and arrest me. Come and think you can try and take me down. I'll take you to Supreme Court. Because if you really, and I do believe the anti-Semitic laws, okay, are going to be repelled because of they are the antithesis of Christian nationality. And I think in some way, if you promote one, you can't promote the other. And if you promote one, you're going to be attacked as an anti-Semite. And that's where the pushback's coming. So all you were saying? No, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
Hey, we'll stick behind him. We'll see what comes out in the end. But I just wanted to tell you thank you for that.
Yeah, look, I feel, you know what? I feel what you're feeling. I feel it. I do. I have a lot of angst about a lot of stuff. I don't like paying $5 gas. I don't like paying all this stuff. But is it really President Trump's fault? No. Is it the market manipulation? Is it the hedge funders? Is it gas and oil? Why do you think we're seeing all the confluences of the UFO disclosure? We talk about free energy all the time. Why are they ratcheting up prices left and right? Are they scared that the idea that some type of information is going to whittle out, that we don't longer have to pay gas? There is so much subject matter that is really blowing things up off the chart. And everybody's focus is like they blame Trump for everything. But in fact, you know what? That is the wrong attitude to have. You should be focused on what? Going after the hedge funders, going after what? The stock market prices, the bankers, all the people that push prices into the future and short all these things out. As a realtor, I know how the banks do it, because why would you want to buy a home $600,000-700,000 when it's really worth $300,000? It's not. At 6 to 7%, that's a waste of money. The market is collapsing. You want it to collapse. You want to make sure it collapses so much that we go back to the days of 7 and 8, but not so much where people getting thrown out of their homes, but the pricing just basically gets leveled to a point where it's realistic, because no one is going to buy a home. No one I talk to, when I tell people don't buy a home at 600, 700, I don't care if you got the money. Buy a home 400 or less.
Yeah, well, I know real estate. I've grown up in. I've been. My mother's the oldest broker in South Carolina and still active.
There you go.
But to me, the property taxes is what drives the.
Are you doing anything about it? Is your administration, like DeSantis is doing, trying to remove the property tax?
Well, property taxes is county.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have state property taxes, but our property taxes is county.
Yeah, which is more expensive.
So you have the 4 and you have the 6.
Yeah.
6 is double the 4. People say no, it's not. I said yes, it is because we have the homestead.
Mm-hmm.
My assessment is, I think 280, and it's always low. And so we just bought a house 1 mile from my driveway for 250.
Congratulations, that's awesome. What was your rate? What was your interest rate?
Well, no, it was 1031 exchange.
Okay, all right, I got you.
So it can't be deeded,
mm-hmm.
and as long as my mother's alive.
Mm-hmm.
So my property tax is $1,800 a year. 1 mile away from me, 250. The property taxes is $5,200 a year.
That's insane. I mean, that's just
crazy.
Yeah.
So why would somebody sell a house? And that's a starter type house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a nice house. It was my father-in-law's house. So why would somebody sell a house where the payment's going to be less than what you can rent for? And so I'm kind of backwards thinking this is, and this is a different discussion for another day.
Right.
But property taxes has a lot to do, in my opinion, with what people sell their homes for.
Right.
And, you know, it's stupid to sell a home for less than what it's going to cost to rent. So
exactly.
But anyway, listen, I'm going to get off here, but I just want to tell you thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. I hope your answers were your questions were answered. I mean, I hope you see the light about what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, you have a good one.
You too. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Roger. Well, that was Roger, ladies and gentlemen. That was a good conversation. I think it was a fantastic conversation. Hope you enjoyed it. It's good to see people calling in. Thea, what's up? Where are you? You're in here dropping 300 gold pills. Trump won. How was your dinner with family? How was your date? Thank you for the cookie. Good to see you. Yes. Thea donating 700 gold pills, headed back from Yellowstone and just got service. You're at Yellowstone. Wow. You didn't see any like portals or UFOs and stuff? I hear Yosemite's the worst. That's great. Yellowstone. You're in Montana. Awesome. That's great. Great to see everybody out there. All right, let's continue on. Let me finish up with the compassion under fire stuff. I mean, I think maybe we should just cover that and move on. President Trump says this is part of what's going on. The pushback of the weaponization fund. I don't understand this one bit. I don't really get to, let's just say, process all this in some way. This man has settled a $10 billion lawsuit with the IRS for 1776 or 1.8. And yet he is not allowed to utilize his own settlement to pay for setting up a weaponization fund for people that were what? Targeted by the IRS, the Treasury, the government, many other agencies inside and outside. So you're now controlling the president's settlement and saying, you know what, who is not taking a dime, not collecting interest on it. His sons, his kids, his daughters, no one's making money, but you want to control how he spends his own settlement. And you don't like it. And everybody, Tom Tillis, Cornyn, fuck you and die. Fuck you and die. Everybody that is pushing back about this, they should go straight to hell, pass no fucking go, collect no $200. You should just burn. You should just burn. Who the fuck are you to tell the president of the United States or anybody who settles a lawsuit how to spend their money when this president does not take any money from the taxpayers? He doesn't take any money. He doesn't take a salary. What is it? $400,000 or $500,000 a year? He doesn't. It's millions of dollars, $4 million. How much is he donates to charity? And you're still telling him what to fucking do. And you want to what? Grin and bare your teeth and say, we're not going to pass anything. We're not going to, you don't pass anything anyway. You should be looking over your shoulders, senators and congressmen. I'm telling you, you should. Because you want to target American citizens like you did, because the majority of you, John Thune, John Cornyn, many of you targeted January 6th people for just walking in to the Capitol. And people spent years, lost their livelihood and stuff. I'm talking to you, Cornyn. I'm talking to you, Thune, or anybody. Cowens, Murkowski, Cassidy. Look over your shoulders. One day, the flicker of light might come out. Because I can tell you right now, many American citizens have been destroyed for just walking through. And you want to say, 5 Capitol Police died. They committed suicide. But there were multiple people that were murdered by Capitol Police officers. So don't tell me that shit. And this January 6th thing is going to be upended. It's going to be upended. OAN wants their money because they were deplatformed. Many people were deplatformed, debunked, debased, whatever. I'm so sick of this shit. All right? I can't wait for the truth to come out. But once the truth is unveiled and unfurls out about the 2020 stolen election, it's game over. Game over. You know what it is? It's hunting season on every fucking, let's just say, confidential human plant by the FBI, SPLC, or all these other people. It's hunting season. We're hunting you. It's target practice. You're done. You're finished. So the battle has become a real point of contention between normally pliant congressional Republicans and the president who said Friday he's helping others. Why can't he help others with his own money? I gave up a lot of money in allowing just announced anti-weaponization fund to go for. He could have just took $10 billion, gave it to himself, his kids and stuff. Instead, I'm helping others who said so badly abused by an evil. How can you hate this president? How can you attack this president who can easily be a greedy motherfucker like the past presidents, like the Bushes, like the Clintons, like the Obamas? And yet he sets up a $1.776 billion compensation fund that was born out of a settlement reached by the Trump family and IRS to resolve long-running disputes. Oh, yeah, like false imprisonment, violations of the Constitution, everything that took place in the Joe Biden administration, a stolen election that led to what? The incarceration and the encampment and the incarceration of what? Stealing what? 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment rights, going after former Trump officials, going after the president himself. You don't understand. When I speak to people out there all the time about how I feel about vigilantism, and I believe in it, because if this is not rectified and we have other issues to deal, you're going to have a civil war. And you know what? We shouldn't contain it. I know President Trump's got this under control. It's going to be rectified in some way. But people like this, like Jim Acosta arguing, should be eligible for Trump's DOJ anti-weaponization fund, giving Trump revoked his past press. Look, everybody out there that did their part to make sure in some way to attack any of President Trump's, let's just say, acolytes, affiliates, supporters, what have you, to incarcerate them, to debank them, to deplatform, to destroy them in so many ways, needs to be persecuted. You need to be shot and hung, as far as I'm concerned. You do. And when I speak about this in such a way, the GOP backlash against Trump's 1.8 anti-weaponization settlement fund. So Republicans in Congress are pushing back hard, delaying key votes on immigration, ICE funding, and war powers measures. Well, the war powers measure is not going to matter. But, you know, when you want to claim it's a slush fund, shielding Trump, allies from him and stuff, where were you protecting President Trump when a former president was what? Was raided. And his home was what? Denigrated. It was, I don't even want to use the terms, but the disgusting behavior by the FBI that was forced to be there, whether they wanted to be there or not. Going through Melania's underwear, going through the kids' underwear, perverts, sycophants. I have to tell you right now, we have a problem in this country. It has to be rectified. We cannot allow certain things to go untethered. It has to be done. That's what we're doing. That's what this administration is doing, because he knows, like the rest of us, and how we all feel. There has to be accountability for what has been done. And if there's no accountability, we don't have a law. We have what? A cowboy Congress. We have a cowboy country. We might as well go back to the Wild Wild West and just shoot each other. Hey, if that's what you want, some people are better shots than others. I'm all in. I'm all in, and I know I'm hunting. I know who I'm hunting. Do you want that? I don't think anybody wants that. They don't want to live in the Wild Wild West. They don't want to live in a vigilante state. But the thing is, how we see things today that are not getting resolved at a quicker pace, at a faster pace, is problematic, as we are now beset on both sides about dealing with this nonsense. And it's embarrassing that people in the Republican Party want to what? Act in this way. It is a disgrace. Listen to this. Listen to how Todd Blanche responds to this chaos. It is disgusting. Just in President Trump firing back at the Senate GOP got frustrated with his anti-weaponization fund. Fuck them. They can go fuck themselves. All these people are done. Hey, look, when you take a leave of absence, okay, and you're going away on vacation, just look over your shoulder. Have extra security. Make sure you're wearing good shoes. You don't slip and fall. You don't fall down the stairs. You're taking your medication. I promise you, the time's up for you, buddy. I gave a lot of money in allowing this just announced anti-weaponization fund to go forward. I could have settled a case, but including illegals, released my tax returns. Disgusting. Bye-bye, IRS. Bye-bye. Should have bankrupted them, but he didn't. I gave up a lot of money allowing just to announce this weaponization fund to go forward to help people that have been suffered, abused by the evil, corrupt, weaponized Biden administration. What is so wrong with this? Listen to this.
President is one, not true, but two, it's very telling that that's the reaction from Democrats, because it proves the point that President Trump has been saying for a very long time, which happens to be true, which was for the first time in our nation's history, you had an administration seek to destroy the previous administration, not just President Trump. Anybody that came in contact with him. I've said it before, but you're talking about his gardeners being put in the grand jury, his Secret Service detail being put multiple times in the grand jury. That's what the last administration did to try to destroy President Trump. And he has said publicly, and I very much agree with him, that he doesn't want this to ever happen again to anybody. And so how do you go about making sure it doesn't happen again to anybody? Well, you change the culture, which is what we're doing. You also set up a mechanism where people that did have it weaponized, have this Department of Justice and this federal government weaponized against them, can apply. Does it mean they're going to get money? No, it doesn't mean they're going to get money. It just invites them to apply.
Just invites them to apply, get an opportunity for a recourse, for a dispensation, for what? Recompense. It offers them an opportunity for the case to be heard realistically in order for them to get some justification, some course correction of what has been taken from them. All right, we're almost out of time. I'll have to fast track this right now because I don't want to belabor anything else, but okay, let's get to a couple of things that have been happening. I'm going to, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to cover this because we're going to cover how the media looks at race relations. We have a black problem. They use it as a teen problem. They don't know the age group. Here you go. I hate to say it, but the most racist group in America is black people, and they're raising their kids to have no respect for law and order. This is Tyrus on the 5. I guess he's on the Greg Gutfeld show. So basically, this is a black man saying that black people, they're raising their kids to hate you and to commit crimes. And so, again, I would argue in some way that when you allow these kids to run around like we had in Tampa, you know, if you don't want to arrest the kids, just arrest the parents. Let them do time. And then put the kids in foster homes and see how they like it. They're fucked. They're finished. Their life goes down the drain. Arrest the parents. Charge them with what? Not being good parents. Dereliction of duty. You don't deserve. How many kids you got? 8? Well, you don't watch them anyway. So we're just going to take them and pass them around. Okay? We'll send them to Epstein Island. We'll see how that works out for them. Look, the bottom line is this. If you can't control your children and you're unfit to be a parent, then you don't deserve to have them, and nor do you have the opportunity to want to protect them. It should be taken from you. When you have a 12-year-old walking around the semi-automatic, many people out there in the North Tampa area that have to be taken down to 20, 30 people, they're lucky they're not shot and killed. Again, I say arm yourself, protect yourself, because you have a lot of different people out there of different races that are acting up. The parents don't care. These kids are scum. They're not educated. The public system has failed them, and they'll murder you and kill you in a second because they don't have any type of empathy, sympathy. They don't have any recourse. They're soulless. And you know what? Honestly, they don't deserve to live. I look at these children and say, like, they're going to grow up to be monsters. So make sure that we find some type of course correction to flip that, to change them. If we cannot change them, well, you know what to do then. And maybe we should start to think that way. The Florida duo allegedly gloated about killing off-duty firefighter for his phone and sneakers, smiling about it. Two men accused of killing an off-duty firefighter in Florida. This is Pompano. All right, I know this area. For his Nike sneakers and his iPhone. Boast about the murder just moments about his heinous act. Torrey Holston, 26, and Jose Garcia Romero allegedly killed a Coral Springs Parkland firefighter. Christopher Randazzo, 39, in front of Lauderdale by the Sea Resort when he left his second job as a bartender at Aruba Beach Cafe. I know the area. I know Coral Springs. I know all of that. And I have to tell you right now, it disgusts me. So you have these this nigger and this spick nigger that think that they can go around killing people. And Holston said earlier, he said, I can't believe I just caught a body. He was just smiling about it. Soulless demons. We have a problem. Fuck you, Kash Patel. I don't believe your fucking metrics, your measurement, or all this stuff. Crime has come down. There are more black and white crime out there. Arm yourself, shoot them, take them down. They walk up to you, defend yourself right away. Don't even waste time. They're not your friend. They don't care about you. They will fucking murder and rape you. They will do everything they can. I'm disgusted by these people. I'm sick of these people. They're not your friends. If it ain't white, it ain't right. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep that mantra going because I'm going to show you how bad it is. It continues to get worse. And you're going to tell me, whoa, crime is down 90%. No, it's not. Not in the white Christian community. Every day, every single fucking day, multiple times per day. But remember, words spoken by white people are real crime. Why is Chauvin still in jail? Because he's white. Look at these monkeys. May 2026, a white 23-year-old Eden Rock was lured into an ambush and murdered by 4 black niggers and a black woman in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was just a shooting where the black woman killed 2 people just recently in Austin. So here we are right now, more black on white crimes. When's it going to end? When's it going to end? When is President Trump? See, this is my biggest problem with the administration. Call out the white on black crime, President Trump. Call it out. Your administration does nothing to call it out. You don't want to focus on that apple cart. Your FBI doesn't want to discuss this. You want to say crime is down. Bullshit. Bullshit. This is what I say about the administration. It's a fucking joke. Why there's crime everywhere and white people are getting killed. Again, more white Christians are being killed. I say to you, all white people out there, arm up, take back your lives because they're going to come and kill you. They don't fucking care because you have a Jew judge that will move them through or a black judge they'll move them through and they'll go out in 24 hours and then what? Commit more crimes. It's not just the illegals. It's not just that. We have these people in this country targeting you for simply the color of your skin. And I say right now, I can't wait, and I wish we can go back to hanging. I don't want anything to do with the black culture. I don't want to do with the rap. The football, the baseball, and all that stuff. You people just go live in your own fucking corner. Kill yourselves. Do whatever you want. Stay the fuck away from Whitey. Let us build our own culture and live. Live peacefully. Because I don't want to have anything to do with you. You people make me sick. Everything about you makes me sick. You can't even raise your children to grow up to be what? Better human beings. They turn out to be monsters. It is disgusting. All right. And you know what? We should have a full abortion for all the black people they want because they can't raise their fucking kids. And if they can't raise them good, just like what? Exterminate them. Hang them. Put them in the death penalty chair and say, you're done. You're done. Here it is. Here's another one from End of Wokeness. Makes a good point here.
Yeah, fire department.
Culture we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Culture we live in. It's okay.
Yeah, of course.
I don't remember doing this when I was a fucking 14, 15, 16, 17.
Who is it? I would happen to know the one with the flow. Who did it? It was me.
I hate these people. I spit on them. From hell's heart, I spit on them. They make me sick. We should not be around these people. They're self-immolating. Look at this. This is a culture that will eat themselves alive. Can someone drop a bomb there? No, I don't want to be around black people at all. I don't. I don't have nothing to do with them, especially these types of people. What did Chris Rock say? Hey, the black guy that was bagging your groceries in there, he hates you the most. You're the most white, the most racist people out there. Well, you know what? You should what? Conveniently give them back what they deserve. The same equal footing. We should have never allowed the civil rights to move forward. We should have never allowed all these other things to continue on, because what happened was the more we gave, the more they took. And the more they end up being the monsters they are, walking along the countryside with the rest of the illegal alien scum that we have to deal with all the time. And we're told we're the fucking racists. Fuck you and die.
What I don't understand is that if it's so offensive to them, then why do they say it over and over again?
So Riley said the N-word before you did that morning.
He says it every morning. He calls me nigga. He calls the other kids nigga. He calls himself nigga all the time. Nigga this, nigga that. Nigga please. Bitch nigga. Nigga, have you lost your mind? Nigga, check that hoe. Nigga, you bullshitting. Break yourself, nigga. He says it so much I don't even notice it anymore. Last week in lunch, Riley says to a classmate, "Can a nigga borrow a French fry?" And my first thought wasn't, oh my God, he said the word, the N-word. It was, now how is a nigga gonna borrow a fry? Nigga, is you gonna give it back? I'm telling you, my inside voice didn't talk like that before he got in my class. What?
Interesting point. My inside voice. Our reality of understanding. And even though that's funny and that's caustic and it's germane to the subject, we didn't grow up like that. We didn't act like that. How are these people allowed to act like this and get away with it? How are there people of this black culture walking in and out of systems, just killing and murdering and raping people, and it's okay? How is it even possible? Why is it plausible? Again, I hearken back to Paul Kersey. Death wish. Vigilantism. I believe in it. I believe in a justice that we cannot get from our scenario that is here, because they're not here to protect us. They're here to protect them. They're only there to come after the fact, after it's all said and done. By then, it's too late. You lost a daughter, you lost a son, you lost a mother, you lost a husband, you lost a father. Bring back lynching. I don't want to live in a culture where I see any black. I want to live in a culture where we live in a peaceful culture of people that don't want to kill each other, that want to actually think, that can read, that can talk, that you know, that are not twerking on a fucking look, I don't know what these people are, but they're not human beings. They're soulless creatures, and maybe we should send them back to the Congo. Maybe we should send them back to Africa. Let them get a little Ebola and see what happens to them. Okay? And then we don't have to deal with them. Yes, I probably missed the 50s, probably missed the 60s. Maybe lynching was the right thing to do. Wasn't the wrong thing to do. I mean, honestly, the way I see things right now, they're in payback mode. They want to kill you no matter what. They want reparations. They want this. They don't want to work. They're not even educated. They're not even smart. I don't know if they're even smarter than half the fucking monkeys that come over from Africa and Nigeria or Somalia. Some of these people are being what? Put in these positions to what? Help with the grift and the graft. So when you start to see how we're being attacked from all sides from third worlders, and we got a bunch of our own fucking idiots in this country because the public system, educational system, and no parenting. There's no parenting around. Where's the parenting? No grandparents anymore. There's nobody there taking care of these kids. There's nobody there. There's nobody there, period. So what do? You know, unfortunately, I have to say it, but, you know, the way I look at life and how they look at life and how they look at you, it's expendable. And you know what? I'm starting to think that now more and more. Maybe they're expendable. And maybe it would be best that we rid them from our world, that we don't have to deal with them anymore. Because they're not going to be, let's just say, a proficient adult that wants to what? Make our country better, make our culture better, make our world better. They're not participants in helping in saving this country. They're just what? A bunch of fucking animals that should be behind a fucking cage in a zoo. Is that how we have to treat them? Well, when you act like you do and you got mass riots of these people twerking and taking over cities and stuff and robbing and stealing, and then you want to sue Walgreens in San Francisco and Colorado and all these places for closing up their shops from being robbed by you people, and you want to sue them? Well, that's thick. That is really rich. If I was a corporation, I would not want to be in a black community. And maybe we're going to see that more, that you're going to have to drive. You're going to have to drive miles to go to this, to that. Because you know what? That just shows you how the operation is set up. They don't like you. They don't trust you. They know you're going to rob and steal. But if you go into a white neighborhood where it's predominantly controlled, you're not going to do that. It's just reality. It's just reality. And I'm just saying that's the facts. Here we go. Unsealed UFO files reveal spherical orb darting across the sky at astonishing speed. Okay, whatever. So all the stuff is out there. I saw some of this footage. It's a little grainy. The Trump administration released a second trove of UFO files. I'll look through it more. The video files were considered so sensitive that officials worked tirelessly to keep them sealed. The first batch of photographs documents were unsealed early in May. Let me see what it is. Spherical UFO spotted zipping through. There was an attack here. They shot one down. Do you believe they shot it down? I mean, did they shoot it down? It sounds laughable. What is that? Is that really a UFO? I don't know. I don't believe they have. I mean, do we have the technology to shoot these things down? I don't know. We don't get better coverage, better footage of all this stuff. This is all going to be for naught. I mean, honestly, it's all going to be for naught. I'm serious. We get shot right now. That's done. There you go. All right, whatever. So you got chilling UFO encounter that left the U.S. intelligence info speechless. Terrifying UFO experience of senior U.S. intelligence officer has been revealed the first time. 2025, an unmanned officer came face to face with a mysterious orange orb that soared near the helicopter as the colleagues were on a secret mission to investigate loud thuds hearing in the mountains. Additional UFO files come to. Conspiracy theorist confronts NASA Artemis. Look, I know there's stuff out there. I gave you the links to go. It's all dropping and stuff. I think some of the stuff that is a little bit pernicious and stuff, I'm disqualifying some of it because I don't want to focus and target on what platforms are saying. You got to go right to the direct source and go through. And I was looking at it. I didn't have time to do so much. Maybe I'll do this week, but I'll leave you with this because overall, when you really think about how our culture is really descending into, whether it's black, white, Jewish, Hispanic, Puerto Rican. This is the bottom line.
Okay.
First of all, you lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. All right, that's number one. And I like Mark Cuban. I've always liked him, but this is a mistake. And once Trump puts his name on prescriptions, we're all going to die. Okay?
Yeah.
He put his name on the Trump shuttle, the Trump vodka, the Trump University, the Trump hotel, and my favorite, the casinos that all went bankrupt.
Yeah.
The drugs
Do not go there.
The drugs
Mark.
don't actually have his name. They're existing drugs.
Whatever.
It's a
If he's
marketplace, but-
involved with it.
No, I literally a medication that I had to take for IVF is a 1/10 of the price on Trump RX. I don't, whatever, it's tacky that his name is on it. Mark Cuban has dedicated his life to bringing down prescription drug costs.
They can't even handle the fact is that the Trump RX, and I've looked on it, you can get things at a really lot cheaper price. And Mark Cuban was touting in and working with that. And they still cannot handle it. See, this is my point. The TDS is all over the place. They can't handle it. The fact that he has a website that you can get drug prescription costs at a cheaper rate to bring them to Walmart or Publix or Walgreens or CVS or have them mailed. They are freaking out. They don't like it at all. They just don't. They're like, it's all bullshit. We don't care. See, this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. And you know what? They're just people that they're 20% lost, completely lost, like these people, and they're never going to be able to come back. And there are other people that are lost for different reasons. Let me continue.
Average family, 1/3 of Americans cut back on essential foods and utilities to be able to cover their prescription drug costs. You're not going to convince me that just because Trump's involved, we should be like, screw it, don't bring down prescription drug costs.
If he's going to make a profit out of it, don't take it.
I completely agree with that.
Americans
I
are
agree with you, Joy, on this one.
No.
He is a failed businessman. And if you heard what he said, we both want to make people wealthy. He didn't say
so
healthy.
I should pay 10 times more for my
wealthy, which
medication.
means to me that there's something in it for him. This is not a well-intentioned person.
His intention cashes in on Sunny, but what this does is it helps
Sarah, he
American
is not a
people.
well-intentioned person. He is not doing this from out of the
guys are naive.
No.
That's why we have a black problem. See the two black broads
the
there?
wealthiest country, and we pay the
See these
most for
monkeys?
drugs. The
They're
people
the
that
problem.
are literally
That's
suffering
the-
illnesses and cannot pay for their medicine. I can't think of a sicker
low
business
intel,
model.
low
Bring
EQ.
down the prices,
They don't
and if you're
really
going to get
have
results
the
on this,
actual
call it
frontal
Donald Trump
cortex to
medicine.
absorb
I don't
this
care
stuff.
what you
Excuse
call
me,
it.
there are countries
That's why
all
they're
over
violent.
this world, especially in Scandinavia, that have national health insurance.
Correct.
They do
Yeah,
not
they're
want to
smaller
have
than
that.
New
That
Jersey,
would bring
like
down the
America.
cost of drugs and health care.
But in the
they don't want that.
they have
Here we go.
I like Mark Cuban. I've always liked him, but this is a mistake. And once Trump puts his name on prescriptions, we're all going to die. Okay.
Unfortunately, we still have no medications for Trump derangement syndrome on TrumpRx.gov, but we're working on it.
That's just great. And that's our show for tonight. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. I dropped the pills and stuff. I hope you had a good time. I'll return. I'll try to return on Monday. I mean, people are here to watch it and stuff. I know it's Memorial Day and we want to spend time with our families. I'll let you know. I'll put out stuff out there. But I want to thank everybody out there supporting the platform, people coming in late. Who was here tonight that was supporting? Thank you, Thea, for the 1.9. Gold Pills, Wood USA, 1.3. Trump 1 coming at 300. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night. Hopefully I'll return on Monday and stuff. But remember what Memorial Day weekend is about. As I suggested, while politicians argue and the media spins narratives, their graves, American graves, all across this great nation, filled with Americans who paid the ultimate price, the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. Tonight, we will remember them all and remember them first. That is the We Are Rise show. And I want people to recognize that because we all have military members in our family. I know I do. And I will be recognizing that this weekend. So that's our show for this evening. Good night. God bless. Be well. Be safe. Don't play with midgets. Don't bet on ponies. And don't smoke in bed. Ciao, Bella, ladies and gentlemen.